Alright, we're getting there. Don't worry, I'm gonna turn the music off in a second. I'm not trying to offend nobody. Alright, I'm just trying to get this angle good. Alright, cool. So I actually have a very special treat for you guys today. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. And today what I have for you guys, I want to show you guys the power of ZEFRA by themselves. The way people have been using ZEFRA has just really been breaking my heart, making me sad. Because it's almost like they're showing no respect to it at all. They're using it the same way they use Orcust. They're using it as a counter trap engine, basically. They don't even care about the ZEFRAs. They're just trying to get Divine Strike and load it for a target. And I really don't appreciate that. So I wanted to do this profile to show you guys the power of pure ZEFRA. Now OCG loves ZEFRA. It's a very popular deck out there, and it's for good reason. Because it's the only Pendulum deck that's actually able to go into a grind game without utilizing its extra deck, without burning through Electromites and Turbo cards and putting out a bunch of negates. This deck can actually tank with grind games, with counter fairies and Paleozoics, back row heavy decks. It can tank with combo decks. The deck is the best Pendulum deck, period, and OCG understands that. That's why ZEFRA has been popular for years and years out there. Of all the Pendulum decks that died off, ZEFRAs are still alive to this day in OCG, and I myself am an avid fan of this deck. I understand the potential and potency of this deck. So what I have for you guys today is a ZEFRA profile that does not have Magicians, does not have Endymion cards, does not have Guard Dragons, and it does not play Orcust or anything. It just plays ZEFRAs and a couple generically applicable Turbo cards, just so I can be able to make Electromite before Pendulum summoning, so I don't have only ZEFRA skills, so that I can Pendulum summon out my Odd Eyes Dissolver, so I can make my Calamities combo. So those are the only cards that are not ZEFRA, but they're needed, so I can actually do my combo, so I can make Calamities. But essentially, this deck is able to do the same unfair things that other Pendulums can do, except this deck can make cards that no other Pendulum deck on the face of the planet is able to make. This deck has archetype-specific cards that no other Pendulum deck on the face of planet Earth has. It's able to make different boards, and it's more interesting than any Pendulum deck. It's never boring because the variety of ZEFRA variations that you can play are just crazy. ZEFRA Yang Zing, ZEFRA Satellarknight, ZEFRA Ritual Beast, ZEFRA Shaddolls. You can play ZEFRA anything with the corresponding archetypes. So I'm going to show you guys my list, but I really just wanted to do this because people are really sleeping on ZEFRAs themselves, but I'm woke. Let's get into the profile. Like, I know the power of ZEFRAs. So we're playing 3 copies of ZEFRA, my Anger Translator. This card in his own deck is actually the best card. It's better than Wisdom Eye. It's better than any other Pendulum scale you can think of. It's literally that good. It could be a high scale or a low scale. So guess what? You never brick. If you draw this card, it doesn't matter if you have 4 low scales in this card. This is a high scale or a low scale whenever you want. So every hand's playable as long as you have a ZEFRA. We have 3 copies of ZEFRA Neo. One of these is a rare because I love ZEFRA so much that I literally have so much extra ZEFRA cards that I was able to make a ZEFRA deck and not take anything out of my main ZEFRA Magician, you know, the 60 card deck that I'm playing right now. That's how much I love ZEFRAs, that I had that much extra ZEFRA cards that I could make an entire ZEFRA deck with my extra cards. So we played 3 ZEFRA Neo. This is the lifeblood of the deck. What people don't understand in the actual ZEFRA deck is this is one of the best cards. This is how you grind for so long. This card is very difficult to play around. It's just always going to generate you a negations every single time. And you have access to all the counter traps now because you're playing ZEFRAs. You have 9 pillars. You have Divine Strike, and you have ZEFRA War. Archetype-specific searchable disruptions that cannot be spear moded, cannot be lava golem, cannot be kaiju'd. You can't do anything to them. They're back rows. You have to have like a Dinko Sekka or something like that. But this deck literally can put out negates in the monster row and negate in the back row. So it can literally have 2 to 3 negates here and then 2 to 3 negates in the back row. So the ZEFRA boards are way harder to crack. And you can say that they're not, but you really don't know how to play against ZEFRAs because you probably haven't even played against a good ZEFRA deck. So like, really don't underestimate the deck and how good it is and what it's able to do. Because it actually puts out like tons of interruptions, and I mean tons. And they're just way too hard to play around. Like, this deck can beat stun. It's super good. People drop a Mono Iwado. Guess what? Pendulum decks can't beat a Mono Iwado. ZEFRAs do. We just pop it with ZEFRA War and keep it pushing. Like, there is nothing that anyone can say that will ever change my mind about ZEFRAs. They can talk about them all day, and it'll never change. I'm always going to believe that this is the superior Pendulum deck, period. Like, I've played every Pendulum deck on the face of the planet, even DDDs, and I still think ZEFRAs are the best. We have 2 copies of Zefraxes. The reason why I play 2 and normally I play 1 is because I actually play Desires in this list, and ZEFRA is extremely vocal. You could just play 3 if you want, but it's not necessary. And what it does happens is when you have 2 ZEFRA in your hand, that's just horrible. You really just want 1, but you just play the second one because you don't want to banish 1 off Desires and not have it. And it's really focal because essentially one of my main combos that I go into is Calamities, because True King of all Calamities is so good this format. It beats everything. It doesn't matter what deck you're playing. If you can't attack and use monster effects, I don't care if you're playing Strikers or Salad. You can't use monster effects and you can't attack. You can't kill me. There's nothing you can do. We have 1 Saitan. For the back row heavy decks, this card just outs back rows. It pops any set card, including face downs in the Guru matchup. You just pop their set monsters. 1 ZEFRA Thubin, he pops face ups. We also play 1 copy of ZEFRA Windy. I was going to play 12 ZEFRAs. I was going to play Pilika in this list because Pilika has interactions where you can pitch her off Ravine, dump your Dark Worm, Special Dark Worm, Search Gate, and then you can normal Pilika and then bring back the ZEFRA that you dumped off Ravine, and then you just have like 3 free bodies to do whatever you want with. But it's not necessary, and it's really so RNG niche that I just felt, why? Like, you know, when we can just do... Ooh, hold on. My bad, you guys. Let me go ahead and put my phone on vibrate so that it's not a distraction in this profile. Alright, so yeah, like ZEFRA Windy is so good. Like when you play enough names, that's where she becomes valuable. The only reason why she's not on my list right now is because I play 4 names. I play a Thubin, a Saitan, a ZEFRA New, and 1 ZEFRA in my deck right now. But in this list, the ZEFRA monsters are just golden. They're literally, they all do something. Like you're gonna hear smirky, you know, like really condescending remarks like the ZEFRA cards don't do anything. That's funny because literally on summon they all do something. This guy can make any ZEFRA tuner. She adds from extra deck to hand. This pops sets. This pops face ups. I'm sorry. What do magicians have for removal? Like, dude, like you literally, the only way that they have removal, and most magicians don't even play it, is really they just have Dragon Pit and Dragon Pulse. Barely anybody plays those. But the thing is, ZEFRAs have removal in a different variety of ways. ZEFRA War is removal. This is removal. This is removal. This can actually become removal. Like it then in the skill gap between this and Pendulum, it's not even like. There is no comparison. Like the learning curve on ZEFRAs is what makes it so not popular in TCG, because they like easy stuff. They like easy stuff like Silent Greats and Strikers. You know, not saying that they're the easiest decks in the world, but just like there's nothing simplistic about ZEFRAs. There's such a high learning curve. They're so difficult to play, so difficult to learn. That's why a lot of people stay away from them and play Pendulum Magicians, because they're easy. Anybody can play them. Even someone who just got into the game knows how to Pendulum summon a Harmonizing Magician, knows how to activate Wisdom Mind Scale and put another Oath Dragon there. Like, that's so simple. But what ZEFRAs can do, no other deck can do it. So that's it for the ZEFRA monsters. And that should make 11 ZEFRA monsters. Typically, I play 10, but the second ZEFRA is really important. Like I said, ZEFRA is just... every time you Pendulum summon, you want ZEFRA Neo and ZEFRA coming out. It also helps to chain block, but it's just in general, you Synchro summon a lot more in pure ZEFRA. Now for the turbo cards, it's still pure ZEFRAs, but I need turbo cards because I need to make Electromite. So I chose, instead of you know, other traditional turbo cards, and like the Endymion package, I felt like these are just so generic. You know, for any Pendulum deck, these are just necessary if you want to make Electromite. Otherwise, you're going to Pendulum summon first and then make Electromite, and that's just so counterintuitive. So yeah, you can just be that person trying to say, oh, this isn't pure. But like literally, the Mythical Beast engine is here as a turbo card. I mean, it helps you. It raises your ceiling. You can put out more negates in the form of the main monster zone and not relying on your extra deck so much, and helps you on second. But really, like, if you just take the Mythical Beast out, the deck still works fine without him. It's just less turbo cards. And I just don't appreciate that because I like enough turbo cards. I just don't want to overdo it and just fill the deck and load it with turbo cards, because it doesn't, like, ZEFRAs were never that Pendulum deck that relied on Electrum. But the thing is, if you want to do the Gotham's Calamity combos, which is kind of my main combo because I just love it, this format, I think it bodies everything, and you can Super Poly Spear Mode all day. Calamities is a lingering effect. That's why I allocated so many slots in my main deck to making sure that I can get Electromite out first before Pendulum summoning. So yeah, and the chronographs are really helpful too, because Time Gazer also plays around Ghost Ogre on your ZEFRA. Some people still do that. They'll Ogre ZEFRA instead of Electrum. I don't know why, but you know, they do that. So the Mythical Beasts and the chronographs. And then the reason why Dark Worm is so important in this deck is not even because of him, but because of Gate 0. Why is Gate 0 so important? It's actually a scale that's a level 7. That's imperative because when you're doing with your combo with Odd Eye Synchron, is you're using him to target this in scale and special it and Synchro off with it. So I was considering bumping Synchron up to 2 just because of the Desires thing. And the same thing, that's the same reason why I play 2 Gate Zeros, because of the Desires. Because if you banish Gate 0, you actually lose the combo, because then you need another level 7 that you can scale. And since I don't play Endymion, I don't have a searchable level 7 that I can scale. Because the point is to Synchro for level 9, Synchro for Cloud Castle to bring back your Gotems. Got 'em! And then you can actually, instead of putting up Calamities, you can really do 2-card hand loop, put up 4 negates. 2-card hand loop, 4 negates. Ain't nobody playing through that, bro. You have 4 cards left in hand. I have 4 negates for your 4 cards. What are you doing? I just have to keep stressing it. There is no Spear Mode. There is no Super Poly. None of the side deck cards work against ZEFRAs. You have to literally side against this deck as if you're siding against Stun. You need reboots. Guess what? I have multiple counter traps for that one reboot. Literally, it's so difficult to play around this. It's so difficult. This deck is so good, you guys. Seriously, if you don't play ZEFRAs, you are so sleeping on them right now. All the Pendulum Facebook groups and stuff, they're just all ZEFRAs are bad, or the only thing they're good for is a counter trap. They are tripping. OCG, for one, is better than us, period. I just wholeheartedly believe that the players in the OCG are far superior. Their intellect is it's keener. Their IQ seems to be sharper. It's literally, they just seem smarter than us. They seem to know more about us, the game than us. That's why we never win worlds. America never wins world. It's always somebody over there in the OCG. If they think that ZEFRA's better than Pendulums, there's no argument, because they're better players than us. So they obviously know something we don't know. They understand. But yeah, ZEFRAs are incredible. These cards are really necessary. And I play some off-the-wall one-ups. I play one Ghost Sister. The reason why I play her is actually she is literally a lose one turn. What you do is when you go into your Chao Feng, you 9 pillars on Chao Feng, negate, and then pop Chao Feng. Chao Feng can add any tuner from your deck to your hand. So you'll search this off Chao Feng, and then you can use this on your opponent's turn. Now they have one of 2 options. Stop playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Or play Yu-Gi-Oh! And now you can't kill me. So I just like it. It stops turns. And it makes it so annoying and so unfair when you're just okay, you're under Calamities, you're under this, you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And then I just search this out. Now if you try to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And set up a wall so you can't be OTK, you're giving me so many life points. So I like it. It's a searchable one-up. You don't have to play it at all, but it's just so good. It's one of my techs. I really enjoy it a lot. And then 1 copy of Mare and 1 Destrudo. Even with Desires, I'm still only playing 1 of each of them. This is something that I don't need. It just helps out going second. And ZEFRAs are that deck that really do actually get to play Mare correctly. Because they have the Yang Zine cards and they can access it through so many different ways. Now, I did not have 3 extra Oracles. I only had 2, so I have 2. I didn't even want to touch my other deck. So yeah, there's only 2 Oracles in this list. Definitely should be 3. You can easily cut one of the Ravines for it. You could just do 3 Oracle, 2 Ravine. But we have 3 Ravine. Again, Darkworm and Gate 0 are just so important. Darkworm, less important. Gate 0 just ultimately is just that important. If you notice, I play extra cards to get into the combo because I think it's just one of the strongest combos of the format. When you can put out Calamities and counter traps, you can body any deck. It doesn't matter. There's nothing that they can do. You can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! If you can't activate monster effects and you can't declare an attacks. And I have counter traps for any spells or traps you activate. There is nothing you can do. And the beauty of it is it's literally just Electromite and Calamities. You can't Spear Mode, you can't Super Poly. I keep saying it over and over because people don't understand. Pure Pendulum Magicians and all these other Pendulum decks running around, they automatically lose to those decks. They auto lose to all those. This deck can even play around Nibiru. It doesn't need to summon that many times. This deck is just too good. And it's more skillful. It's more skillful. People, in my opinion, I feel when you say ZEFRA's bad, I just feel you just don't have the skill for it. That's all. This deck is so good. I just love it. To death. I really love this deck. We have 3 Providence. It's literally the best card in the deck. You add a ZEFRA card from your deck to your hand, dude, there's just, a very high probability that you're going to win that duel. Because this is pure ZEFRAs now. It has more value. 3 Dragons Ravine. The 3 Dragon Shrines. The Ravines weren't enough. I just really needed more ways to get to it. And then 3 Pot of Desires. I just really need draw power in this deck. And also a +1 is very necessary. It's also the best Ash Blossom bait ever. If I draw this in an opening hand, I play it first because I don't want anything else to be ashed anyways. So Pot of Desires just covers so much ground. In this list, I had to flex around a little bit and bump up ratios, cards that I normally play at 1 or at multiples, but still, Desires is definitely well worth the risk. 1 Terraforming, 1 Set Rotation. These can be your 2 extra Oracles if you need them to be. And then I also play the 1 Foolish Burial. That finishes up the spell count. And then we're going to go to the traps. This is where it gets really good because this is where ZEFRAs excel. Their back rolls give them pretty much another backup plan where you can put up some pretty nasty boards in the main monster zone, like where you just put out a whole bunch of monsters like Jackal Kings, and you can put out like I like Nightmare Griffin in my build. Like I like putting up Griffin because I just think Griffin is just like an auto win against so many decks. Like you could just put up so many different boards. It's pretty it's pretty cool. And mostly a lot of the stuff that I put up comes out from the main deck. But where this deck thrives the most is in its back rows. So I personally play 3 ZEFRA Divine Strike. It's the easiest to set up. It's always live. It's never dead. Like I've never had an issue. Look at my other ZEFRA lists from back in the day when I was playing pure ZEFRA. I always played a lot of their traps because I always knew how to play the deck correctly, and I know how to set these up. I know that they can be bricks, but if it really was a brick, don't you think I would have cut it down? Don't you think, like, after testing his deck for literally almost, like, 2 years now, that I would know whether or not this was a brick? Like, obviously, if I'm playing it at 3, it's not a brick for me. If you have a bad experience with it, that's your experience, but mine has been amazing with these cards. 2 9 Pillars, and also 2 copies of ZEFRA War. So playing more of the ZEFRA Traps helps you in the grind, because this deck forces this deck has so much control elements that it can force the grind game. Like, there is not a choice. You look your opponent dead in their eye, like, you're grinding and you don't have a choice. There's nothing you could do about it. I have control over what resolves, and I'm telling you, you can and cannot play Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I'm letting you know what you can do. And this deck forces it into a grind game automatically. So Calamity is kind of just like a stun. It'll take a turn away from them, and you can recuperate. Like, you can get into some bigger plays. Like, you can make Boral Sword. Like, right now, my Boral Sword is not my extra deck. It's my other extra deck from my other ZEFRA build. But this deck can grind so much better with more of the back rows. Against Strikers and against Guru Control and Dracos and stuff like that. Like, these cards are exceptionally good. Like, ZEFRA War is just so incredible because you're playing pure. Like, you can activate this from hand going second and just out. It's just so many different things. Like, it's incredible. Out Inspector Borders, you know, just so many problem cards. ZEFRA War is definitely slept on. It's so incredible, dude. 9 Pillars is the most skillful of the negators, but it requires for you to control Yang Zing, whereas this literally says ZEFRA and extra deck. How hard is that to do? Not hard at all. You can summon Electromite and they can ogre it, and you still send a target for your counter trap, so it's not dead. You don't have to believe me if you don't want to, but I mean, it's not like I don't know what I'm talking about. So for the extra deck, I play 1 Electromite. Of course, it's still necessary in this deck, but at the same time, if you're not going for some of those flashy combos and you just want to play just traditional, pretty much old school conservative, you can just literally just go nut up with some Jackal Kings and counter traps, and I guarantee you it'll be enough. We play 1 Metaltron because he's so insane in his own deck. This is how you recycle Electromite, and this card is really good going second. People forget he actually has another effect. Nobody ever uses it though, but in this deck he's incredible. I love Griffin, I really do. It's not just about setting more of my traps. Like, if I desired away one of my wars and I want it back, but it's the fact that you can put this up and in all of your turn 1 boards, and sometimes it's a little bit better than Calamities, and you can just get a lot more value out of your Mare play too, because you could go Yazi, break a board, and then if you can't OTK them, your follow-up would just be co-linking Griffin to other cards and setting cards, drawing cards, and then having a Floodgate, which really locks out a lot of decks. Like, Griffin is not a bad card at all. He's not bad, he's good. Borload. I don't have Boral Sword in here. Borload is actually really good in ZEFRAs as well. It gives even more value to the Yazi Mare play because you can basically just go, you know, Link Kuriboh, Nightmare, Borload, or you can go Link Kuriboh, Nightmare, Griffin. It just depends. But definitely Borload if you're just trying to finish the board off. So that's it for the links. Now, the Synchros is really where it's at. This is what happens the most. You've got Gotems and Cloud Castle for the Calamities combo. You got Chao Feng because it actually is still a skill drain for the attributes you make them with. It's just, you can only make them with Earth in this particular list. Now, there are plays that, don't get me wrong, there are plays you can make where, for example, you can use Yazi, pop his self, summon Jiaotu, and you play so many Yang Zing cards that you could just use Jiaotu, pitch 2, summon back Xia, and shuffle more. But ultimately, it's not worth it, you know. So Chao Feng is kind of like one of your go-tos. And back in the day when we were in the format where Gokis were like the best deck, this was my auto win. I would just make this. They can't activate Earth Monsters effects. They can't even attack with them. Like, it wins. It still creeps up. It still wins depending on the matchup. And then Yazi is insane in this deck. Like, you can make this against Striker too. Like, it's just so good. It's such a good card, and it's like this deck has a Yang Zing counterpart in it, so Yazi and Chao Feng are actually more valuable than you would think. I still play Black Rose for stun decks, and if you can play Black Rose is still a good card. I don't care what anybody says. Destroying all cards on the field is good. And then Don Dragster to set up more negates going first. Having Calamities in Don Dragster just really helps you out a lot. Sometimes I just do weird things where I'm just like, dude, I literally want another Jackal King, so I like tribute summon. Like I tribute Calamities to put a Jackal King up, so you have like Dragster, you know, Jackal King, whatever else. Metaphys Horus is also a really good card going second. You can make them with both a Pendulum and also, so you don't really ever make them with the Worm, but if you make them with the Pendulum and an Effect Monster, which Pendulums are Effect Monsters, the one that I make them with, he can target a face-up card on the field, negate its effect, and take control of one of your opponent's monsters. So you just deal with 2 problems. Only XYZ is Calamity. Like I said, this build is very focused on him because he's just the best. I think he's like the best extra deck boss monster just in the game. Like, Herald is the best main deck boss monster, but I think Calamities in the extra deck, he's just the best boss monster, period. Like, he answers everything. There's no deck that he's bad against because everybody has to attack you some way, shape, or form. If they can't, then they have to be playing Chain Burn. And, of course, I'm going to do test hands because, you know, nobody's ever going to believe me no matter what I say. So I'll just do test hands just to confirm that I'm not capping. But, yeah, this deck is really nice. And I love drawing the traps. Like, I love hands where I draw counter traps. So I'm playing a hefty ratio on them, not just for the grind game, because ZEFRA Neo is really how you're going to grind so much. Just constantly summoning ZEFRA Neo, searching more counter traps every turn consistently, just wasting your opponent's resources, but also the fact that I love drawing them for turn. So let's go ahead and get this a nice little power shuffle. And let me check the timer real quick so I know. Okay, we're already 21 minutes in. We can only do this one test hand. Sorry, but we're going to do it. I hope that after seeing this profile that at least some of you take into consideration that pure ZEFRA is an option. Because this is always going to be my fallback contingency in the terms of Pendulum. Like, if I've always just said, like, if the worst case scenario ever happened and just everything got banned, Pendulum Call is banned at 0, Harmonizing's at 0, Electromite's banned, everything just as good as banned, the ZEFRA cards won't get hit. They won't. They're not going to hit Zefrat. They're not going to hit Oracle. They're not going to hit Providence because people think they're bad cards. That's good for me because if they hit Servant and all the good Electrum Turbo cards and just everything in Pendulum is just quote-quote dead, I can still play ZEFRA Pure. ZEFRA Pure is just a good control deck. And in my opinion, outside of Herald, it's the best control deck because it can do things that just, like I said, literally no other deck on the face of the planet can do. Like, it's just that good. And the utility, the toolbox, every different name ZEFRA is good for every, like, all kinds of types of situations. Like, you've got situations for Thubin, situations for Saitan, situations for Windy, for Saphraxi. They're just really, really good, you guys. Seriously. I don't know what else to say to make you a believer, but if you don't believe, that's on you. I'm still going to play Zephyrs. So we open Providence, Time Gazer, Chronograph. Of course, we open Chronograph and Time Gazer. And we open Desires. Certainly, we're going to Desires. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We banished double Ravine, 1 Oracle, double Darkworm, a Providence, a Mirror. That's fine. Draw 2. We drew ZEFRA Neo, and we drew Jackal King. Now, with this hand, I don't see the Calamities combo because I don't have access to Gate 0 right now, and I can't use Electrum to get Gate 0 because I need to use Electrum to get Time Gazer. But certainly what I will do is go ahead and activate ZEFRA Providence. We have plenty of high skills. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Providence for Oracle, and Oracle is just going to be a card that gets extra value for Electromite. Search out Zefrath, and then activate Zefrath's effect to make him a low skill. And I'm going to send Zefraxi to the extra deck. And then for high skill, I'm going to activate Chronograph. And then Pendulum summoning out from my hand is going to be Jackal King here, ZEFRA Neo, and Zefraxi from the extra deck, and also the Time Gazer. And what we're going to do is we're going to call Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. And so what we're going to do with that is, let's go ahead, and he's a tuner now. This doesn't need to be used as a synchro material. So he's a tuner, so because we have Time Gazer, we can synchro for 9. Now, if you reach Chao Feng, Chao Feng is just generic. It requires a tuner and a non-tuner. There's no specific types needed. But what we are going to do is we're going to search out a 9 pillars off of that the ZEFRA. And since we didn't normal summon, we're about to do something else. We're going to link with these two. That goes to the bottom when it leaves the field because we use this effect. Don't ever forget that. We're going to make Electromite use his effect. What we're going to do is we're going to send ZEFRA Wendy. We're just going to get access to her. We don't need her effect. We just need to get access to her and put her somewhere where we can get her back. And then we're going to target the chronograph, destroy it, add Wendy to hand, draw 1 card. It's a Divine Strike. What I tell you, playing those back rows pays off, doesn't it? People don't ever listen to me. Normal summon Wendy. Synchro with ZEFRA and Wendy. Oracle of ZEFRA triggers, allowing us to stack. Now that means that we're guaranteed our top deck is what we pick. So for example, if Chao Feng got negated right now, and we legit have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interruptions, and okay, yeah. So what we can do, like let's say for example, just in case this got negated, we can pick what we top deck. So, you know, just depending on what you want, you can just stack any monster in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So I could just say, I could just stack a ZEFRA just for example. I don't want that, but I'm just showing you guys that that's how good this field spell is, that it manipulates your top deck and allows you to be able to choose your follow-up, basically. And we have 1 of each of the back row, Divine Strike, 9 Pillars, and War. These are interruptions that can't be spear moded or super polyed. I keep telling you, nobody believes me. So Jackal King, it shouldn't be online because there should not be, I didn't activate any spells while he's on the field, but our opponent will do that for us. And even if they don't, 1, 2, 3, 4 interruptions. Do we banish the Dog Bloom? Yeah, so yeah, we can cheese them. So the first action that they commit to, you can just 9 Pillars preemptively, pop Chao Feng, and then get Chao Feng's effect if it's destroyed. If they negate it, you can negate that. But you can search out Odd-Eye Synchro if you want to, but I just want to cheese. And I mean cheese. Like, so you'll add this and then you'll pitch it. And now they have 1 choice. Play Yu-Gi-Oh! And give you a bunch of life points, which they probably have to, because looking at this board, like, they have to bait some of these out in order to have a chance next turn. Or they just don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And you blow them out, because you're going to be able to Pendulum Summon from your extra deck. Because that's the beauty with pure ZEFRAs too, is we keep our Electromite on the field. We don't get rid of it unless we have to. Like, and we protect it the best we can. They try to use effects, we basically negate those effects. They try to attack over it, we pop it with War. So if they try to attack over this right now, we'll activate War. We can target any ZEFRA card. We can even target this and just destroy it if we want. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead and target the Oracle, and then we'll banish Providence. Because Oracle, you can keep capitalizing off of its effects, because that has a bunch of really good effects that you actually get to use in this deck. So you war them. That's another interruption, and they got bloomed. And then you can Divine Strike if it still wasn't enough. And Jackal King is probably more than likely 1000% live. It doesn't matter really unless you're playing even a Sekka's Light Dot deck might even turn it on. So technically speaking, this is another interaction. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna top deck. That's Dragon Shrine. The top deck doesn't really matter too much, specifically. The fact is, like, you have Electromite, which means Electromite target this, pop it, and you can add anything you want. This is what protecting Electromite. That's where it becomes that much more valuable. So you can, for example, add, let's say, add Wendy. Or really, we'll add the high scale again. We'll add Chronograph, and we'll scale Chronograph, and then we'll go ahead and, a matter of fact, we need to get another ZEFRA. So what we'll do here is, yeah, we'll add Wendy, and then we'll use ZEFRA. That's the thing. We need a low scale. So yeah, we need a low scale if we want to go off again. So I suppose in hindsight, if we anticipated that, you wouldn't banish this. Instead, you would banish the Wendy. So that way you could just do this, pop the field spell, add Chrono. But you know, you never like think that, oh, hindsight play. What if we just conveniently don't, you know, have that because we're thinking, yo, Electromite. Not forget, my main thing was I was gonna grab Time Gazer, and I always forget that you can't activate Time Gazer unless you control no cards. So yeah, you would just grab this, you would just banish her instead, get rid of your one Wendy, and then you'd use ZEFRA, and then you'd send another card that you want, like for example ZEFRA Saiton, so you can go even more aggro. So you'd send ZEFRA Saiton, and then you get to Pendulum Summon 2 from extra deck, and you can chain block if you want to, and you can clear cards that way, which really just helps you out a lot. And then what's going to happen is he's going to search out another counter trap, and now it becomes a grind game, but you can out-resource them consistently, just searching out counter traps every single turn. And then you can use the Dragon Shrine that you drew. You can send Destrudo. You can activate Destrudo. You know, you can target this guy, and then guess what? You can Synchro with him. I leave him here. And then the Synchro of choice, you can go for Dragster, put out even more negates. So you see what I mean? You consistently dish it out every time. So this is 3 interruptions. After turn 1, you set up 5 interruptions. And then on your follow-up, you set up 3 interruptions. So it's different from traditional Pendulum Magicians where they just vomit out everything and that's all they have. And if you clear it, that's it. Like this deck can just keep, that's what I mean by grind. Do you guys understand what I mean by grind now? So yeah, if you're not a believer in pure Zephyrs, that's totally fine. Play Pendulum Magicians, you know, that's fine. You totally can just do that. But personally, for me, I love Zephyrs that much. Like they're literally my second favorite deck in the world. If I never knew who Herald of Perfection was, this would have been my first love. That's how much I love this deck. It's really good. It's the best Pendulum deck in the face of the planet. Thank you guys so much for watching this profile. And if you guys enjoy my content, I do ask if you wouldn't mind, please donate to my Patreon and or PayPal to support my cause. It really helps me out a lot, immensely. You guys have no idea how much it helps me in content production. This is an out-of-pocket channel, and every little bit helps. So thank you guys so much. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content, and you folks be safe, all right? Peace.